I had a really interesting sort of revelatory moment about my personal feelings on the Switch yesterday. So as someone with a Nintendo Switch pre-ordered, who's had one pre-ordered since pre-orders went up, I have kind of been on this like emotional roller coaster of doubt, like self-doubt about whether or not I want this thing or whether or not it's going to be worth having this year. It's just been like this really rocky, like back and forth of like, is there going to be anything to play besides Zelda at launch, and is the online infrastructure going to exist, period? Like, Nintendo is just historically pretty awful at that stuff. But as a Nintendo fan, I have kept my pre-order, and I still feel like I want to play Zelda on Switch at launch, and there's obviously Mario and stuff this year, but there's sort of been this, like, lingering question for me of, like, why buy this thing? Like, why get this system if there's one game I want to play in March and another game I want to play in, like, November? I'm here in San Francisco at GDC. I live here in San Francisco, and I went to a Nindies event. If you watched Nintendo's live stream earlier this week, they kind of showed off a upcoming slate of indie games coming to the Switch this year. I think they said like 60 plus games. And then I went to this event, and like a lot of those games were on display. And Nintendo obviously has a pretty rocky relationship with indie games, like going back to, I guess, like WiiWare and DSi downloads and stuff. It's always been like this janky afterthought thing where every once in a while one cool game will pop up, but the rest of it is just like weird ports of third-party games. Like, as recently as the Wii U, this was an issue, right? Like, there was like Batman Armored Edition, that weird Mass Effect port.
Now, let's take a look at how the Wii U's new controller will revolutionize how you play Batman Arkham City.
The Wii U was like this weird burial ground of like publishers kind of half-heartedly putting third-party stuff on the platform. So I walked into this Switch event like feeling all these misgivings that I was just talking about the system, and then I left it feeling really, really good about it. There were a bunch of games at this event that were just legitimately really exciting and fun to play, which is like so bizarre and so contrary to what I think of as Nintendo's relationship with indies and with third parties. So like right off the bat, they had Celeste there, which is the platformer from the creator of Towerfall. A game that I've played before. I think they debuted it at PAX last year, but it's just this really incredible, really tight platformer. They also announced, although they didn't have it there, that Towerfall is going to be coming to the Switch, which seems like kind of a great fit, because that game only uses a couple buttons, and like using a sideways Joy-Con for it, I think could work. There was a really interesting like variety of games there too, because there was like sort of what you would consider to be like 2D indie platformer stuff, and then there was stuff that's a little more well-known, like Binding of Isaac, like known quantities, right? But then there was also like this game called Snake Pass, which is this, we've got video from the PS4 version on our YouTube channel. It's this like really kind of gorgeous Unreal Engine 4 rare throwback platformer thing, almost adjacent to Yooka-laylee, except for that you're controlling a snake and it controls in like a really weird, unique way, like in a way that you haven't really controlled a video game character before, as far as I know. The thing that really struck me about it is that it was gorgeous and ran great. Like, that was another big question mark for me, is like, okay, we know that Nintendo games look great on Nintendo systems. How are other games going to run on the Switch? And the answer, based on seeing Snake Pass in person, it was like running at, I think, 1080 30 docked and then 720 30 in handheld mode. It just looked like the way the game has always looked, seeing it run on PS4 and PC. So that was really exciting to me too. And I guess where I'm going with this, like, there was a lot of cool stuff. There was Shakedown Hawaii, which is like the follow-up to the 8-bit Retro City Rampage, that sort of like open world GTA style game. That looked really, really cool, and I never played that before. There was the sequel to Blaster Master, or I guess the reboot, Blaster Master Zero. There was Tumble Seed, which is like sort of a physics ball rolling roguelike game, which is like really weird, but had really great HD rumble support. So like when you're rolling, sometimes you roll like a crystal shaped ball instead of a sphere, and you can kind of feel that in the Joy-Cons. I guess what I'm getting at, and I know I need to put kind of a big asterisk on this, because I know we fall into this trap every time Nintendo puts a system out. This is the closest Nintendo's ever gotten to convincing me that they have real, awesome third-party support and indie support on their platform. And I think a big part of that, and something that kept coming up when I was talking to developers, is that this system is like far easier to bring games to than any system Nintendo's ever put out before. The system is built to support platforms like Unreal Engine 4 and platforms like Unity. And the reason this is relevant to me personally, as someone who didn't really buy any third-party games on Wii U, is because I think the form factor of the Switch makes it a system that I might opt to get games on. I keep running into this like weird mental roadblock for like for example, Sonic Mania, a game that I obviously love a lot. I pre-ordered that game on PS4 like last year, and now I'm in this weird place where I'm like, I kind of want to cancel my pre-order and get it on the Switch, because why would I not want the option to play that game in bed? And then I'm thinking the same thing like all the time with pretty much every third-party game, now that I know that those games at least seem to run perfectly well on the Switch. Like, why would I get Yooka-laylee on my PS4 if I could get it on the Switch and have it portable? And that's like a really interesting question and a really interesting value proposition for like at least single player games like that. Like the fact that I now have this choice to either buy a locked down version that I can only play in front of my TV or play a version that's truly portable excites the hell out of me. This isn't the first time things like that have been semi-possible. I've played my fair share of Mario Maker in bed on the Wii U. I've tried doing stuff with like streaming the Vita, the sort of remote play stuff, but that never felt quite right. It was always a little janky and had a little bit of delay. I think playing games on a console that you're actually physically holding and having it run natively in your hands is something that I think people might be underestimating as a value proposition. And I think all things being equal, when a third-party game comes out that is going to be on Xbox One, PS4, and Switch, there's a part of my brain that thinks maybe I should just get the Switch version if it's fundamentally identical but also portable. And that's an interesting question that I hadn't really considered until going to this event and seeing like all these really cool third-party and indie games that I would like to have in a portable mode. So I like, for example, Yooka-laylee, right? Yooka-laylee wasn't there today at the event, but since that game is coming out on Switch at the same time as every other platform, why would I not get the Switch version? You know what I mean? I feel like I don't want to repeat myself too much, but I don't know. I walked into that event feeling really weird and scared about having a Switch pre-order, and then I left being like, okay, if their money is where their mouth is on this, and they're actually making a platform that indies and third parties can painlessly port their games to, and that I can then take portably, I don't know. It's exciting. It's an exciting idea to me. Anyways, we've got videos for pretty much every game I just mentioned up on our YouTube channel. I captured a ton of footage at the Switch event, and I've got videos for all of them, so they should be popping up all around my face right now. But yeah, that's my feelings on the Switch vis-a-vis third parties. I'd love to hear what y'all think, so feel free to leave a comment about it. I'm gonna read them and reply to them and obsess over them, because that's how I am. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'm Nick Robinson, and happy Switch launch week, I guess. It's here. Weird.